Hi, Radu.
Hey,
How's it going?
great. Just give me a second. Okay.
Let me choose my new background too. Can you see it?
Yep.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, the room is perfect for that.
Cool. How's the conference?
Was a long 3 days of discussions, and Monday was conference, and then the next 2 days were actual working group discussions for various issues.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just to start off on the interesting thing is that, fingers crossed, BAP 458 might get accepted tomorrow.
Nice.
So finally,
Excellent. Yeah.
finally,
Yeah.
it'll be great.
So, do you then start the implementation process?
Yeah, so it's interesting because Facebook has already given a grant to improve basically package signing and PyPI, and this is the thing that will meet that proposal.
Yeah.
So the funding is there. There's a contractor already lined up. They're just waiting to go. And they've got like what, 2 or 3 months because they wanna get something ready by the next PyCon. So when is PyCon? May? I don't even know what it is.
Oh, sure. Another conference-driven development task.
Yeah, I'm like, I hope they've been doing background development because if you've got like, let's say 2 months, wow, it's a lot of work.
Well, if they only want to show a demo, then I guess that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. So how are things? Have you started? I see you're looking at various issues in Signy, and how's that process coming along? What are you looking for specifically?
Good. I'm finally learning Go, Signy, and Notary all at once. So it's great. One thing that I've been trying to fix is that to make key management a lot simpler. So my perspective is that, and feel free to disagree, but the patch that I'm working on right now for Signy is that you're probably a single organization trying to reuse your root and target keys, right? So
yeah,
by default, what Signy will do now, my PR, is that it will reuse the root and target keys, which I think Notary already Signy already reuses root by default because Notary does. Right?
It follows the same defaults that Notary sets. So exactly whatever Docker Content Trust does by default, which I think is the same root keeper repo.
Yep.
I think that's the default for Notary. That's what Signy follows as well.
Yeah, I saw the function, import root keys and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
It's too bad it's not part of a package that they export. Otherwise, we could have reused those.
Hence my comment then too. Does this follow licensing properly? I don't know.
Oh snap.
Yeah.
Well.
But given that we already import Notary and we have a copy of your license because we imported in Go, I don't know. I think that's okay. I haven't had anyone specifically complain about that yet.
We'll let the lawyers figure that one out. So what I'm working on now is to make key management by default much easier to use on Signy. So the way I'm thinking is we're going to reuse root. We're going to use targets too. And you're not even going to use targets a lot. I'm thinking of delegating everything to the releases role. And that's the one key. So even if that gets broken into, let's say someone breaks into your build, your Notary server, all you have to do is rotate releases, and just use targets. No need to even take out your root keys, which is nice.
Okay, so from the Signy perspective right now, the only thing that you're interested in would be not to generate a new targets key per repo, but the same one for all repos, or the same one for all versions of a single repo? What would be the ideal?
For all repos, basically. We're assuming that you're a single group or a group of developers. That's the default assumption, and we should provide ways to override that. But I think by default, this is the easiest way rather than, oh my God, I got a new targets key for every repo, even though I'm one single organization, which doesn't really make sense.
And I was at at the last KubeCon, Justin Cormack had a talk about various mistakes they've done when implementing Notary, and this was one of them. The fact that each, at least from the default library repos in Docker Hub, right, the official Ubuntu and Alpine and Go and other parts that are part of library, because each repo in library has its own root key, they have to be manually added in the Docker CLI.
Oh.
The key IDs have to be manually added in the Docker CLI so that they are trusted by the Docker CLI by default.
Wow, I would think they would at least reuse the root keys, if not the target keys.
Apparently they don't. So they have the root keys. Yeah,
that's surprising. Yeah, I'm afraid that that was a mistake. I'm not sure why it happened, but you know, it's one of those things that is hindsight, it's obvious.
Yeah.
But hopefully we fix that in Notary V2, which is, I'm hoping, you know, there's a meeting next week and then we bring up things like this.
Yeah. There wasn't one this week, right? That's
no,
what you were saying.
Okay.
Okay.
They're still discussing use cases and requirements. It's been going on for more than a month now.
It's good that they haven't gotten along with implementation, that we have a chance to chime in. So
you're right.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to make key management by default much easier and signy, right? You reuse keys by default. Snapshot, just like timestamp, is pushed to the Notary signer, because you know the impact of a key compromise there is not a big deal. You don't want to push targets. You can't even do that. I saw the Notary code. You can't push. You can only push timestamp and snapshot to Notary. So that's what I'm doing.
The actual private keys, you mean?
Yep.
Okay.
Again, we can provide an option. It's like, no, I don't trust Notary with my snapshot. Thank you very much. I'll generate my own key. We can do that. But by default, my thinking is that let's just make signy simple for people to use, so they don't have to worry about all this key stuff.
Yeah. I think I agree. The only slight concern I have is that specifically people who are going to use signy will probably also look into using Docker Content Trust, right? Because I think we target the same group of people, right? Who are conscious about, oh, I need to sign this artifact. We'll probably also need to sign bundles, right? My only concern is that we will have two different key management solutions for images and bundles, which again, if they have a choice into changing that in signy, I'm okay with it. I have no problem with it, right? But I don't want to have to be locked into two completely different key management solutions.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So key reusing there in that sense is important. Okay, I need to think about that. That's a good one. Okay. I'll think about that. What's the third thing that I wanted to do about keys? I forgot. Nothing crazy. Oh yeah, the third thing that I wanted to do, I'm done on the first thing, which is pushing snapshot by default. Again, we should provide people options, right? It's like, listen, don't worry about generating keys for me. Here's all the keys I got, right? And we should do that. Pushing snapshot to the server. The second thing is not reusing targets key, which is I had to work around Notary because Notary doesn't even give you the option. So I kind of have to undo what Notary does and then replace it with our own key. It's kind of hilarious. You'll see it. And the third thing I want to do is, but that's something that we should upstream to Notary, actually. It's the best solution, of course.
Is that a breaking change?
To Notary?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. It's just that the code needs to change. That's all.
Okay. And then the other thing that we should look into is all of the stuff we've been doing so far is stuff related only. We should also look into how do we do things with in toto files.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's one thing that I'll need to take a look into after this too. So right now my thinking is I'm gonna get the tough layers starting out first, you know, signing and verification, all that good stuff. Once we get this working, adding in toto shouldn't be like the hardest thing in the world, right? So, but you're right, like the container images,
hey, Jacob.
Verify. Hey, Jacob, how's it going? I'm in Times Square in case you didn't realize.
And I'm on the ISS.
We were just talking about the work that we're doing to signing.
So are you? I think you're muted.
Oh, gotcha. I was just saying I feel pretty boring right now in a phone booth.
Are you aware of the work we've been doing with Signy so far?
A little bit vaguely, not down to implementation details.
Okay, so Signy is a work in progress experiment of using Notary specifically for CNAB, and it's using the Notary client libraries to sign CNAB bundles, take their content digest, and push that to a Notary server.
Gotcha.
Right? It's using the same concept as Docker Content Trust, and it's integrated right now with CNAB to OCI. So you want to push a specific bundle file, it will push the content digest of the bundle itself, of the bundle file, to Notary, and then it will take the referenced images in the bundle and then push them to an OCI registry, basically. We're also in the process of moving that to cnabio right now. I hope by the end of this week, Signy will be a part of cnabio. And right now we're discussing specifically relaxing the way we do key management, because right now it is done, key management for the tough keys is done in the same way as Docker Content Trust, which is one root key per repo and then one target key per repo as well. So if people want to reuse their either targets or root key, they should be able to do that for multiple bundles, I mean.
I see.
So we're looking maybe even upstreaming some changes to Notary packages to allow that, which right now it doesn't for V1. And then we're also looking into how do we make sure we're up to date with the work that's being done for Notary V2. And I think we decided to go to the weekly meetings for Notary V2, which I think are on Mondays, 12 Pacific, maybe, or 10 Pacific.
Is it 1? It's 1. It's 1. So it's 1 ET, 1 p.m.
Yeah.
ET.
So it's 10 Pacific.
Cool.
Yep.
I just wanted to link this real quick. I don't know if you've seen this issue, Radu, but it might have some crossover with what you're working on with Signy, especially if we have a method for like having a root of trust that's common across multiple bundles, then this could be part of a solution for like having a distribution of invocation images and bundles that we can trust.
I haven't had a chance to read specifically anything that happened after October of last year. So I see your comment started yesterday, and there's a whole discussion about it. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely have a look at that. But how does that relate to distribution of trusted invocation images? You mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it seems like what end users may be asking some folks for is a way to say, like, I don't want to just install whatever. I want to only install things from a trusted source, or like execute invocation images from a trusted source more specifically, because you'd still need bundles to be built in a distributed fashion, but maybe you could link to only select invocation images for, say, like running a standard Kubernetes deployment.
Okay. The one thing that you could do, and you could force a default in whatever tooling you're using to install bundles, is always try to verify the signature of bundles. So that guarantees that no one tampered with the invocation image in the meantime, right? Because I have this content digest of the invocation image and it's not the same change, something happened in the meantime. But I don't, and again, I haven't read through the issue, but I don't know of a way to just limit the use to some blessed invocation images.
Would there be a way to verify the underlying invocation image has been signed by maybe a different party? Then, like, you could be using an unsigned bundle, but a signed invocation image and verify the invocation image itself. Or is that outside of the scope of?
That's outside of the scope of CNAB right now. We expect you to verify images. If let's say the bundle isn't signed, then if you're going to use, say, Docker Content Trust, that's up to you.
Gotcha. But keep in mind that that is offloaded to whatever container runtime you have that is going to invoke the invocation image that's been executed. So if it's local Docker, you could just do Docker Content Trust enabled, and do that. But if it's Kubernetes, there is a way to do it, but it's not that straightforward, and it's not widely used, to be honest.
It just depends what CNAB runtime you're leveraging.
Yeah. That being said, we could technically do the restriction of you're going to first pull the invocation image on the machine that's doing the CNAB tooling execution, right? So I'm executing a command locally against the remote Kubernetes cluster. If you want to do the verification, you will pull the invocation image here first and do the validation, right? So we could theoretically do that.
Does the process of verifying a signature actually require pulling the invocation image if you don't care about validating the digest necessarily? Like if you offload that to your runtime, can you just
not really
metadata?
So when for container images specifically, you only have to pull whatever information your top server has about that target and then pull the manifest from OCI. But again, that doesn't that's
so you don't need the layers downloaded on the machine, just the manifest.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. But again, if we only do that, people are going to complain that, yes, you did the validation of the manifest on this machine, but you didn't do it on the machine that's going to execute it. And that might have changed in the meantime.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's not a foolproof solution right now, even if we do that.
Gotcha.
There is a Kubernetes admission controller for Docker Content Trust. It's called Portieres by IBM. That's something that we might be able to use for images, maybe even bundles eventually. But Jacob, if you're worried about that, that's something that we might be able to use.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there's room for some guidance at least from the CNAB.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the spec, but just like as far as runtime implementations go, what's the way to handle invocation image signature validation if that's all that you care about?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That being said, we can give the guidance and document the process, but when you're executing a bundle against some remote thing, you don't really have a way of verifying that the actual runtime is going to do all those checks, right? You cannot really know if the admission controller is there and it's going to verify the content digest.
For sure.
We could make the request to all runtimes that want to be CNAB security compliant that they do that.
In the case of Kubernetes, I think the kubelet does actually verify the digest if you pull by digest.
Oh, I see.
So like where the image is actually run, you are doing digest validation. So it seems like it would be possible to split up the process of digest validation and signature validation.
Yeah, if you trust the bundle, if it's signed by someone you trust, then yeah, when you tell kubelet to pull it by digest, you're basically passing in a trusted digest.
But I don't think
between your between the Kubernetes master API and the kubelet.
But does the kubelet actually check the signature in TOF, or only just that the digest you're trying to pull is the digest of the manifest itself?
Yeah, it's only computing the digest and verifying that.
It's a poor man's, sorry?
Go ahead, sorry.
It's a well-known poor man's version of Docker Content Trust. If you don't want to sign, just pull by digest.
And hope that the runtime will reject your artifact if it doesn't match.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have? That's very good feedback. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. I'm going to read through the issue, and I still don't know a way to have a list of blessed images, but yeah, this a way Docker CLI did in the past. So I was telling Trishank earlier that in Docker Hub, you have a list of library images like the official Ubuntu and Alpine and Go and other images that are in library / whatever. And Notary right now works based on trust on first use, which means I first pull an image from this repo, and then I trust that that's the real key. And then for subsequent pulls, I'm going to validate against this root key for the repo. But for library images, they actually bake in the root keys of those repos into the Docker CLI itself. So if someone mingles with the upstream Docker Hub root key for Ubuntu, for example, Docker CLI will reject that because it has a mismatch with the actual Ubuntu library root key that is baked into the Docker CLI. And this is how the library images are sort of blessed images by the Docker CLI, in which, we don't really, you don't have to trust.
Rotate the root key.
Yeah, if you have to rotate the root key, then you'll have an update to Docker CLI, or just force that you replace that root key.
But even sorry.
Go ahead.
Even if you rotate the root key, even if you pin it locally in Docker CLI, as long as the old root key signs for the new one, you can still rotate. You don't have to get a new version of Docker CLI. Just wanted to note that.
So, which brings me to the fact that is the way the Docker CLI managed to have a list of blessed images, right? We could theoretically have a JSON file of keys that you trust. And if any bundle uses, which would be maintained by your organization, right? Not anything global. If you're trying to use any invocation image that's not signed by any of those keys that are shipped by your security person inside, then you just reject it. That could be a way we try to do things, which would be an optional and opt-in
trusted sources.
Yeah.
That's basically what I was thinking about, and like imagining that people can maintain their own distributions and self-sign other bundles and make them available for others to use. But basically where that can break down is if you have like what this issue on cnabio is about is trusting the deployment tool itself. So we would have a proliferation of bundles that maybe package up Kubernetes applications with different manifests and stuff, each one referencing different manifests, but then all of them use the same invocation image under the hood. And that's the thing that we would want to actually validate is a good version or from a trusted source. Which, like I said, maybe is beyond the spec, but
it might be beyond the spec, but I think tooling should give a way of solving that, or at least this is what you could do. It could be an appendix in the runtime.
Maybe this is getting closer to what Entoto is, but
I'm thinking, I might be thinking about a way of doing that without Entoto, but just stuff itself. Technically, you could have a wacky way of maintaining the list of trusted keys in a separate stuff repo.
Yeah.
Right. You have a special repo in your registry that is specific for trusted keys. That is a well-known repo or target in your registry, and then you pull that first on every time you try to do something new or update or do something. You pull that list, and then you
or
either update it or.
Could we just write our tooling to say, like, if the bundle is signed, then I'm going to validate the signature on the bundle. If the bundle is not signed, then go down to whatever child resources are referenced or references are contained in the bundle. So then if there's no signature on the bundle, then I'm going to check the invocation image and the application images instead.
Yeah, that is definitely something we can have in the tooling. Right now, the verify step, the only thing it will do, it will check the signature of the bundle file itself.
Yeah.
Right. But there's nothing stopping us from going even further and checking every referenced image in the bundle.
So Jacob, what do you mean by checking the references in there? So for example, if it's a container image, do you want to check whether it's got Docker content trust signature or what's the story?
Yeah, exactly. So same methodology for signing and verifying, just with a different OCI reference instead of
Yeah.
validating the bundle. If there's not a signature on the bundle, then we move down a layer to
fall back to
images and application images.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can send a PR to add a quick line to our verification workflow. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Is there any reason
easy to add in the tooling?
Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to do that by default anyway?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, you can check for the signatures, but it's probably not going to be there, and then so you need error handling. What do you do when you don't have signatures? Do you go on, or what's the default? Right, that's the only reason. But otherwise,
yeah.
But I think that's a setting that you can turn on, paranoid mode. Accept only signed bundles, right? If it's not signed, then make sure the images are signed. If those are not signed, just reject. But that should be an optional flag.
And we'd be able to use the same roots of trust for signing application images and invocation images and bundles, right?
This is where things get muddy with the current Notary implementation.
Okay.
Theoretically, according to the top spec, yes, you absolutely can. According to the current Docker content trust model and Signy, because that follows the content trust model, no, not without modifying.
Notary.
I think Notary, yeah. But we hope that V2 of Notary, the work that's going on in V2, will help us do that. And I'm pretty sure people who are working on Notary are aware that this might have been a mistake in the past, having one root key per every repo you have.
Oh, it's so painful. Yeah.
Well, if the tool can just accept a list of trusted root keys, then would that accomplish the same thing?
For now.
I think so. Do we want to entertain the thought of having a distribution, a list of trusted keys that you put somewhere in stuff, and then you pull on use and then verify against that list?
It would be in Signy, actually. I think Jacob, we can distribute like trusted root keys that here's the CNAB, IO root key, for example. Sure,
but you need a way of managing and updating that list, right? So I'm thinking either keep it in
GitHub,
OCI, in an OCI registry.
Or OCI.
No, in an OCI registry and sign it.
I see.
That's what I was saying.
Gotcha.
But then what root key do you use to sign that?
The chicken and egg problem, man. Signatures all the way down.
Yeah, it'll probably it could.
Well, that brings us down to one root key, though, right?
Yep. So it does.
Interesting.
I think the easiest option right now, if we really needed to get this out tomorrow, is to just put the root key in GitHub, right? It's not the end of the world. And then you install it as part of Signy, because how do you validate Signy? Where do you get the binary form? I mean, the number of signatures you'd have to check. So
yeah, this is good feedback. Yeah, this is really good feedback.
It's just like getting Docker, right? Like, where do you get the Docker CLI? Because that comes with the trusted root keys.
Yep.
So, but at least you boil down the problem, I agree, to getting a trusted copy of Signy, and then everything else is taken care of. We should open issues for this. Where's the meeting minutes? HackMD, no? Okay, yeah. Let me write this down before I forget.
So Jacob, are you implementing any of the security parts in any way right now?
We haven't yet, but planning to pair with Trishank starting this afternoon on getting this in. Excellent. Yeah, this is definitely. We also have some use cases for doing air-gapped deploys, so we're going to need to figure out how to transport the the trust metadata alongside the bundles.
Yeah, that is
fun.
And I'm not sure. I've been thinking about a sane way of doing it, and I still don't know of one. Mainly because Notary keeps metadata both in MySQL and in Notary itself, right? So you cannot really export. You would have to take the entire
state,
copy whatever entries you have in MySQL and put them over, which is not ideal.
Yeah, basically, I think we might end up with like the thick bundle file and the metadata alongside it, and then put that into another tar file and call it a day. Then we have to also deal with expiry if we want to
Yeah.
roll back inside that air gapped environment and verify signatures again for an older artifact.
But here's the thing, the problem is only there if, the question is, do you have a trust server on the other side of the border of the air gap environment, right? If you do, then you could have a way of, okay, I just pulled this this bundle on this machine and I verified everything, and I'm right now re-signing it with my own key and pushing it into my own environment. If you're able to do that and you trust the machine that pulled it, then there's no reason why you wouldn't trust the thing that is going to get pulled from your air gap environment, right? You won't verify the original signature because you just changed it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying you have to trust the thing that pulls it at the border of the air gap environment, right? And then push it into your air gapped trust server. And does that make sense? Is that some? Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's a workaround, given that the current Notary v2 discussion talks about moving a repo with its trust data completely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's not really worth investing into doing a solution for that when v2 is supposed to fix that issue.
Yeah, but the problem is, who knows when v2 will come out. In the meantime, we'll need to improvise something and put it in the recommended workflow or something.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why I think I would think that this would be the simplest way to recommend people do. You have to have a link in your network that you trust to pull it and verify it, and then push it in your environment, and then use that reference in your environment, which I think anyway people do. They want to use the version that was blessed by someone and use the reference from their environment.
Yeah, the good news is that Dockers are actually thought about this. They must have had customers who have air gaps like this. And so there's a way in Notary to tell it, ignore expiration timestamps because we're operating in an offline environment. So either we renew signatures and extend the expiration, or we say, too bad, we're stuck in the air gap, so we'll ignore expiration. That's the risk profile we'll have to decide.
But I don't even think that's a problem if you re-sign it. I re-sign it with my organization's keys.
You re-sign it. I agree. The problem is, I agree. The problem is you re-sign it when you push. What happens a week later, a month later? That stuff is going to get stale eventually.
Well, I would argue that that's the job of the organization to manage it, right?
I see.
Yeah, we have the same problem on either side of the air gap with like metadata going stale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty sane approach. We also have some higher level artifacts like CNAB workflows that we're planning to upstream eventually, but those would be OCI artifacts that reference multiple bundles, which we also would need to be able to sign. So,
well, here's the thing. Signy right now it is built to verify and push and pull stuff using CNAB to OCI, right? Which is indexes in OCI registries. But the initial version would pull plain OCI artifacts. So if you want, there could be a way to have Signy verify other types of artifacts as well, not only CNAB to OCI pushed things. So if you're interested in, you can.
If it could be kept generic to any OCI artifact, that would be amazing.
The only reason, so when I started Signy, it would do generic OCI artifacts, which was things built and pushed with Oras, if you're familiar with that project. Because Oras and CNAB to OCI have completely incompatible container D requirements, I had to choose one of them. So that's why signy right now does CNAB to OCI because that's what we need. But in theory, there should be, provided that they agree on a container D version, and we could have a way that signy could do both. Worst case scenario, you would have a fork or something that's built on top of signy that just switches CNAB to OCI artifacts and understands your workflow files.
Yeah, we'll be sure to try and upstream anything that we have to do.
Yeah.
If stuff comes up.
And then, as I was telling Trishank, keep in mind that signy right now is experimental. So anything you bump into that is not right, please make sure to at least open an issue about it, because we're, for example, I don't think you can have multiple paths in your repo. For example, you have org, repo,
right,
another thing, and then the bundle that's going to break because it's hard coded, right? So
yeah, that's us.
Yep, I know. That's why I brought that up.
I'm hoping it's an easy fix. I think it's just the way you split the gun in the name.
I split the gun in the names literally by I expect something / something colon tag. If it's not that, not gonna bother with it. But yeah, it's definitely something that has to be fixed.
Yeah.
Cool.
That one should. So one thing, okay, so we got signy, we got verification. I'm hacking some parts of it. I'll be pairing with Jacob soon. One thing that I think we need to fix soon, this is a fairly serious problem, and I will need help with this, is, so I found that Notary, when you turn on Docker Content Trust, it expects TLS to both Notary. When you turn on Docker Content Trust, Docker expects TLS to both Notary and the registry, right? Which is reasonable. The problem is CNAB to OCI, if you turn on TLS, especially with a self-signed cert, CNAB to OCI completely breaks. It just doesn't know. It says malform packet. It seems like it's not even expecting TLS, or it's completely ignoring the root certificate. I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't think it breaks if there is HTTPS, because it definitely works with Docker Hub and
that's what he said.
Notary, and it also works with ACR and whatever Notary ACR has, right? So that definitely works. The thing that might be broken is either the self-signed cert, or the fact that they have different certificates. But I don't think that should be an issue.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm hoping this is not a hard fix. Like, for example, if you just pass the root certificate to CNAB OCI, I think should just work.
Yeah.
We will need that in our actual deployment, right? So.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye on that issue specifically. I haven't tried, to be honest, I haven't tried in my test. I've only ran the registry with HTTP, and that's it. I haven't tried it. I've run Notary with HTTPS because that's the only way you can run it. You cannot really turn off TLS for Notary.
Right.
And one might argue that should have been the default for registry as well, but
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I always thought that was the thing. What do you call? You try my scripts. It makes it easy to just set it up, and then you'll see it break gloriously.
Okay. That's good for a good repro, at least.
Yeah, if you do script signy start, it works because I start the registry at HTTP. But if you do scripts Notary start, it will break.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
So some help there would be great. Okay, so where do we write the meeting now? I'm so confused. It looks like we have a different hackmd now.
We have a different one because we reached the
limit. Yeah, I know.
File size limit for.
We broke hackmd.
Agenda and notes, and I think this is where we have the meeting notes.
Okay, cool. I will write down what I remember from all of this, and then did you guys see our new logo? The red crab, the pink crab, cloudy crab, CNAB.
Is that official? I haven't been online in the last 2 days, and I woke up with, that's a red crab.
Carolyn's trying to make this a thing next week, so we'll see.
I know for a fact that Rust has a red crab, and it's been around for a long time. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a Rust thing, I think.
What we could do is rewrite everything in Rust and be like, well, we were inspired by Ferris, which is the name of the Rust crab.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cool. Okay, so what I'll do is let me get to my rush to my desk. I'll write down a minute, and something is missing. I'll send the link to you guys so you guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll look over them and fill out the gaps. If either of you have any issues with whatever current implementation of Signy, feel free to just ping in the channel. I'm happy to pair on any of that.
Thanks.
And
so
hopefully
much.
by the end of the week, I'll be able to move the repo to cnabio and do the formal governance and maintainership and everything for Signy as well.
Oh crap! Then we're gonna need to install the DCO about that fashion.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fred.
Jacob, see you in a bit.
Okay. Bye.